rebirth is something if a person is dead, if the person takes rebirth, so it's called, if he's born again, it is called rebirth.
Very good. What's your name, my dear?
Hell.
So you're absolutely right. So it means that you understand that who is it that comes back?
Ma'am, according to the mythologies, ma'am, rebirth is attained, ma'am, due to the moksha. Ma'am, because we don't get into the moksha, ma'am, we get another chance to live on earth to get the moksha.
Yeah, but why should we want moksha? Tell me that. Why
Ma'am,
not? Tell me.
Because when we get moksha, ma'am, we can go to the heavens and ma'am feel the happiness.
Yeah. So, but then God has loved us so much. Why can we not ask God that you make me so perfect that I am able to do your work here on earth? Tell me, wouldn't that be better than just asking selfishly, I want moksha. I want to get away from this earth.
Yes,
And what if you ask God and say, make me so perfect, let me consciously transform myself, and make me so perfect that your work is done through me. God has so much work on earth, na?
ma'am, we are ma'am very good and ma'am, we are positive minded.
Yeah, but what about those evil people who don't understand positivity? Then they need to be transformed, no?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, they get a chance to transform.
Yeah, and for them to transform, God needs your help to talk to them about rebirth, about the soul, about conscious transformation, right? So why are we in a hurry to go into moksha? Why not we try to become better and better so that God's work is done through us, right? I don't want moksha. I want to be on earth again and again born, and God uses me for his work. That is what is my aim in life. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody else has any question regarding this or anything that you want to speak about it? So my question was that nobody has answered yet. This body will go when I die, but I will come back in the next life. Huh? In my last life also, I was not Anjali. I was somebody else. Who is that I which continues from life to life?
Ma'am, I'm Karthik Agarwal from 7A.
Huh.
Ma'am, the one thing, the I that moves from life to life is our soul. It casts away its old body and then goes into a new one on earth.
Excellent, Karthik. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Anybody has any other idea? It is the soul which continues. So when we do the 2 minute silence, when we do the 2 minute silence after every period, what can we do during that time? Somebody will give me an idea. What can we do at that time? Yes, the one at the back. Please come in front.
Ma'am, at the time of 2 minutes of silence, ma'am, we refresh our soul to get the new knowledge we are trying to get.
Yeah, so what do? We connect with the soul. The soul is here, sitting right here. And in those 2 minute silence, we connect with the soul and we tell the soul, let thy will be done. Will you say after me, everybody? Let thy will be done. Let thy will be done.
Let thy will be done.
Yeah, so in this 2 minute silence that we get after every period, what do? We pray to the soul and say that your will should be done because the soul is God himself, right? So we are telling God inside, and God is so close to us, right inside us, right here. He's not so close even in the temple, as close as he's inside my soul. He's my soul. So in the 2 minute silence, we again and again talk to the soul. Say, please connect me to you. Let me be in your connection all the time. And let your will be done. Come on, let's say it again. Your is easier than thy.
Yes, ma'am.
Let your will be done. Yes, now Rangada has come. So I'm not going to waste even 1 minute of his time. Yes? Pranam Rangada, Namaste.
Good afternoon, everybody. Saransh.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Rangada. Good afternoon. So now today we are going to take up the question of Krinali, and she wanted to know from Rangada the about rebirth in the light of Sri Aurobindo. What does Sri Aurobindo say about rebirth?
Rebirth is also sometimes, the better word is reincarnation, because the soul takes a new body, a new vital and a new birth. So now, this idea of rebirth and reincarnation, punarjanma, what we call in our own life, in our own culture, is something that is not very commonly held by other cultures. Because in India, we have had a very strong and long culture of examining all these subtle truths. So in India, it was always known, okay? Even those who believe in the impersonal divine, they agree with the reincarnation theory. The Jains and the Buddhists and all, even they say that there is a reincarnation of the soul. Okay, so what exactly is meant by the soul and what is taking birth again? Okay, this is what we have to be very, very clear about. So, the only part in you which is real and eternal is your soul. And what exactly is the soul? The soul is, there is one divine, okay? There is one divine who is there at the highest level. He is infinite, he is eternal, he is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, and but he wants an adventure. And remember one thing, there are certain basic principles that you must remember. Okay? Before the world came into existence, there were only the divine, right? Only God. I mean, we have to rule out those people who say that there is no God. Okay, let them have their own ideas. But if we have ideas that the world is ruled by the divine, then we must have clear ideas about what this divine is. He is infinite and he is formless and he is one. Okay. Now, when the one becomes the many in the physical world, so remember all this, I'll tell you 4 or 5 things which you must note and keep in mind, then many, many things become clear. Okay. The divine is one, but he becomes the many in the physical world. He is one unmanifested without the physical world, but he wants to manifest in the physical world. Before a drama starts, the curtain is down on the theater and there's nobody on the scene. But when the drama starts, the curtain opens and all the characters come and they get manifested and the story starts. Okay? So the play starts. So the one becomes the many. Who is the one? He is himself formless. He can take any form he wants. That formless becomes the form. So even if your soul is a limited portion and it may be very, very subtle, yet it has got a form, okay? It's got characteristics. Then the divine is eternal and infinite, and he manifests himself in the world, physical world. In the physical world, everything is not eternal, everything is transitory. There is everything that is there is born and then dies again. So this thing you must remember. There is a constant movement from the one to the many, and the many go back to the one. Okay? All the human souls, not only human souls, we will take up only the human souls because the divine is there even in stones. He is there in even the caterpillars, the worms. He is there in the cat and the dog. But he becomes conscious. The divine himself becomes conscious in the human soul. Okay? So this human soul has come from the divine and has to go back to the divine. Just like, take everything is cyclical. Remember that. Okay? Take the ocean. Okay? The ocean, the sun shines on it, there is evaporation and the clouds form. And the clouds go and drop water on the mountains and the plains, and this water collection rivers and the rivers go back to the sea and join with the sea. So note this, okay? So it is a cyclical movement, and at all the levels of consciousness, all the levels of existence, there is the cyclical movement. Take even matter, okay? Matter is vast, huge. It is steadily spreading millions and millions of miles into space. 1,000 light years above, so there is matter. But it takes forms. Huh? So we'll go very simply, we'll take up, what about your body? Your body is matter. You are born with a body which is matter, and you grow up, and after you grow up and reach certain age and the maturity is reached, then again there is a dissolution of the body. Death is inevitable in the physical world. So what happens to the body? It goes back into matter. So exactly in the same way, the your body is coming from matter and going back into matter. As I told you, the water also is doing that. So there is a cyclical movement. So the divine soul becomes the human soul, and the human soul travels back again through many lives to the divine again. He goes back to where he came from. Okay. This is the basis of the rebirth. But can you do this in one life only? That's very difficult. Why? Because the divine is infinite and absolutely so omniscient and omnipresent and omnipotent. But are you? We are very, very far from being omniscient and omnipotent. So we cannot go back in a short time. So we have to perfect ourselves. Our knowledge must grow, our power must grow, our understanding of things must grow. And when we are fit to go back to the divine, we can go back to the divine. Okay? So you need many lives. And so at every life, maybe 100 years or less or whatever, then what happens is you get a chance to grow. So every life you have a chance to grow. That is the reason why those who commit suicide, it is the most stupid thing to do. The most precious opportunity is given to you, and you decide to throw that opportunity away. That's not a wise thing to do at all, right? So you get a chance to grow. How do you grow? Little by little, your knowledge grows, your power grows, your understanding grows, your consciousness grows. When the divine one becomes a human soul, he plunges himself into the opposite of what he is. Okay? So don't think that your soul, essentially divine, is fully divine. It is not, because it has willingly buried himself in the opposite of himself. Why does he do that? Just take it for granted. There is an adventure he is playing with himself. Many questions will come up as to why he should do that. We'll have to treat all these questions one by one. Okay. But right now we will be concentrating on the rebirth aspect of the question. So it's a game that he is playing with himself. When he goes back to where he came from, there is a sense of achievement. Okay. So this is why you need many lives. In one life, if you are a soldier, you will get something. If you are a soldier, what will you take back from the soul? You will take back the sense of courage, the sense of conquering difficulties. Suppose you are an artist in this life. You will take back the sense of beauty. You will take back what is essentially beautiful. You will learn that. Okay. Suppose in this life you are a doctor. You will get knowledge of the body. You will get knowledge. If you are a scientist, you will get knowledge of the world. So little by little, you will start growing. And it is said in the Tantra that it takes 100,000 lives, 1,00,000 lives for the divine presence in a stone to become a man. Okay. So what is evolving? Don't get confused with the biological evolution. Okay. The soul is evolving, and that is, it is slowly rising from unconsciousness to consciousness. Okay. So this is the evolution. And how does it evolve? Can a soul evolve without a body? That's another principle that you must keep in mind. The soul, for evolution, has to come back into the physical world. Why? Because, as I told you just now, the divine being perfect at the highest level is immutable. He is absolutely static, one. He doesn't need to change. He is perfect. But in the physical world, that which is absolutely static becomes the many and the movement. Okay. In the physical world, there is movement. Now, does not movement imply evolution? Does it not imply change? Okay. Only if there is movement, you can have change. When you are static, there can be no change. So all the worlds above the physical are what are called typal worlds. Okay. They don't evolve. Okay. There are small gnomes and elves in the vital world. There are gods in the mental world. There are semi-divine creatures in the planes higher than our own. Okay. There are Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, all these are there. Okay. But they don't evolve. They are typal, their types are fixed. A human soul, if it wants to evolve, it has to come down to the physical world because movement and evolution are available only in the physical world. And in the physical world, you have a body, you have a vital, and you have a mind. These are instruments given to you for experience in the physical world. Okay? So, what is it in you that takes birth again? It is not your body, because the body is being born and it is shed at the end of life. No? Your vital also is a subtler instrument. It allows you, it gives you energy. So with energy, you can act in the physical world. If you don't have a vital, you can't have energy. And if you don't have energy, you can't do anything. Then you have a mind. And the mind is an instrument for knowledge, for growth of consciousness. So these are instruments given to the human soul to gather experience in the world. So when your time on earth is over, the soul is in the body mind life. It's like if you have seen what a Russian doll is, okay, or you can also think of a collapsible telescope. You take and press it like that. So there is the body, there is the vital in the body, there is the mental, your mind is in the life and the body, and deep inside all this is hidden your soul. So these are the coverings. They are called sheaths. They are called kosha in our Sanskrit language. They are called kosha. So when the end of life comes for you, you shed your body first of all. Okay, it goes back into matter. Then next is the inner. You remember the Gita? It says, old clothes are worn off. Na? Okay. You remember? Jirnani
Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya. Navani granati naroparaani.
Exactly. So these clothes are shed off. So the body, the vital, and the mind are clothes that the soul sheds. And then only that is left. Now, how long does this shedding take place? It can take, there's no fixed rule in these things. The spiritual truths are very flexible and they can be many, many types. Normally, as a general rule, it takes about 10 to 11 days for all the three clothes to be shed. First of all, there is the body which is shed back, it goes back into matter. If you burn it, it becomes ashes, and ashes is matter, and it is recycled again for other bodies. Then your vital also is a substance. Remember, the vital is energy, is a substance. Remember, even science is telling you that matter is substance, matter is energy. Even E is equal to mc square. Even science is telling you that matter is energy, nothing but energy. Then you have a mind also, and all these have to be shed. So your body is going back into the world of matter. Your vital is going back into the world of life. There is a life world just above matter, subtler. Then there is also a mental world. Okay, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha. So all these are shed, and the soul then goes back into the soul world, and it reviews its life. It's a fast, not a fast forward like in your video, but a fast backward. Okay? It reviews its own life and sees what it has learned. And then it decides to again take birth in others, what he wants to learn more. It decides to enter again into a body, a new body. Okay? Now, the entering of the soul into a new body can take place even after 2 years. Sometimes it can take more or less. That's not something very fixed again, which is flexible. Okay, so it depends on many cases, not immediately. Immediate reincarnation is rare, and I will tell you why it is rare. Okay, so because the soul is given a chance to find out where it has to take birth again. And remember, if you are an Indian this year, okay, you may not be an Indian the next year. You may be next life. You may be somewhere else. You may be born in America. You may be born anywhere else. But the continuity of your soul is there. Okay, it grows. It doesn't. If it's a man this life, it does not go back into an animal life next. Okay, it evolves further. It evolves further. It gets more and more knowledge, more and more knowledge. This is the fact. Until finally you realize that you are not the body mind life and you are the soul. This knowledge takes a long time to come. So this is the process of rebirth. Now we can go back into some other concepts of the rebirth. When you are born, you have a body this time which is maybe 5 feet 6 inches, okay, tall, and you may have a fair skin. And next life, it may not be the same. You may be 6 feet tall, you may be dark skinned, okay. It differs completely. Same thing with the vital also. This life, you may not be a very active person, but next life you may become a very active person, okay. It can go both ways. It can go positively and it can go also somewhat negatively also it can go. Then you have the mind, okay. This life you may be average intelligence. Next life you may be very intelligent. These are only instruments for your experience in the world, okay. So all these are shed and then the soul takes birth again depending on how developed it is. Now, does every soul go back, take back birth again from the psychic world, from the soul world if you want? It is not necessarily so. Think of a small caterpillar. Okay? It has got only a body. It's got a little bit of life. Okay, a little bit of life. So what happens to that divine presence which you can call the soul in the caterpillar? What happens? The body dies and the energy in it is encloses this divine presence. And the divine presence now takes again birth in another body. But it doesn't have a soul, it doesn't have a mind, so it does not go to that height. It has got only one clothing, so it sheds that clothing and takes birth again. So those animal life, the rebirth is almost immediate, you can say. Okay, it's very easily it enters into another body, and there also there is a slow growth. All right. So, but even in human beings, sometimes what happens is when your body is very, very strong and full of energy, it doesn't die very easily. Na? There is a resistance. Na? You have heard of Winston Churchill? Okay, Winston Churchill was a man full of energy and all. And although he was very ill, he was not dying. Okay, he was going on. His life was going on getting extended. And the doctors used to wonder how he is living so long. Similarly, your vital also may be very, very strong with very, very strong desires and demands. And if those desires and demands are very strong, okay, it will not dissolve very easily. Something which is well formed, will it dissolve very easily and willingly? No. So it will last for some time in the atmosphere of the earth, not physically, but in the subtle world. It will then. So this is another thing that happens, and this is what explains the presence of what we call ghosts. Okay. The vital being is still not dissolving easily. Okay. And this happens usually when these vital demands or attachments are very strong. It doesn't dissolve very easily. I think some of you have seen that movie, na? There's an element of truth in that movie, Bhootnath. You have seen that? Okay, so there the attachment to the house is so strong that he becomes a booth. He doesn't want to let go. So this is what happens. But when it is satisfied that, okay, now I can't satisfy myself in the physical world, there is a possibility of dissolving itself. Similarly with the mind also, the mind, if it is very, very strong and very, very developed, it can last for a long time. Even after the soul has left the body, okay, the mind of man, if it is a very strongly developed one, it tries to manifest in other beings to try and achieve the ideas that it had. Okay, so this is the process. So a rebirth can occur very immediately from the vital level. Okay, that is what happens when there is with as I told you, the vital being is not satisfied, it takes birth again. Then they remember their past life. The details of their past life are remembered. But usually the past life is not remembered very well because it is useless to remember your past life. You want new experiences and you want new development. So the past is put away. It is only retained in essence. But that is the reason why you don't remember your past life. Now tell me, if you remember your past life, is it not going to be an obstruction to you? You'll be constantly thinking of your past, whereas you have to look forwards. So then that's what happens. So you are purposely told to not to remember details but all these things are stored in your what is called the subliminal. Okay. Now that's another idea that I must give you and make that note carefully. Okay. If you consider yourself, you are not only a body mind life, huh? You are in essence everything that is there in the universe. And what is there in the universe? There is matter. So matter is corresponding to your body. There is the energy, the prana in the physical world. There is a whole world of prana, energy. Okay? Even in the physical world, we see lightning, okay, is energy. Sunlight is energy. Okay? The river flowing is energy. There is a whole world of energy. And you have a vital being corresponding to that. There is also a mental world, and your mind is corresponding to that. So you are a miniature universe. That is the reason why you can get into a cosmic consciousness. If you are not a miniature universe, what is there in the universe, how will you establish? The whole universe is there in you in a condensed form. Infinite matter has become your small body. Infinite mind knowledge has become your small mind. Infinite prana. Okay. Think even of the lightning stroke, 1,000,000 volts. But there is energy in you. There is electrical current flowing in your body, but very small quantity. Now, electrical energy flows not only in the human body, but in other bodies also. Now, have you ever seen a firefly? See, when I am covering a subject, I go into small details here and there to give you a general understanding of things. I told you just now that there is electricity, prana, and energy in your body. Is it there in other bodies also? Yes. What about fireflies? Have you ever seen fireflies? That is energy. It has got the power to give light. It is going on like that. Okay. Then you have heard of the electric eel. An electric eel is usually in the sea, and if you have the misfortune of touching it, you will get a tremendous shock. Okay, so this is, you have a body, you have energy, which is prana, which is energy, and you have a vital. All these are shed, and the soul grows from one body to another body, until finally it realizes that I am not the body, mind, life. I was making a mistake. All that I'm thinking that I am my body and my vital and my mind. I am pure consciousness. Again, Saransh will tell me, Chidanandarupa Shivoham, right? So that is what you are. When you realize that, then there is liberation, mukti. This is the what? Why liberation? Because your soul is trapped in the body, mind, life. And when it comes out, even when your body, mind, life is living, then you have the chance of realizing the divine to a certain extent. Okay, to a certain extent. Because even after your soul has come out out of your body, mind, life, there is many, many planes above. And to get to the divine fully, it takes a long time. So when you are liberated, you may get only knowledge of the divine. Okay? And or if you are a bhakta, if you are a devotee, you may get love for the divine. Okay? So there are so many different aspects of the divine. So this is there are different ideas also in our normal goal of yoga. Okay, most of even today, okay, the Ramakrishna Mission and all the Raj Yoga, yogins and all, they only want liberation. They want only liberation. But Sri Aurobindo wants even more. We were discussing Sri Aurobindo, so he goes one step more. He says, why should you have only one aspect of the divine? Why do you want only knowledge? Why do you want liberation? You can have love, you can have the nature of the divine. As you keep climbing in consciousness higher and higher, above the level 2, which I call the spiritual planes of consciousness, you can rise to the highest and become the divine yourself. That will take a long time, and that's the most difficult thing to do, but it is something that can be done. You must remember, you are essentially divine, you can become fully divine. Okay, so this is the process of rebirth. Now, it raises many questions. Okay, so if any of you have any questions, we can discuss those questions.
Sir, could you please elucidate that point you have tell if someone has a strong vital, then what happens?
Okay, right. So if you have a strong vital, see, it's easy to dissolve sugar in water, but can you dissolve a stone in water? No.
No.
Why? Because it is very solidly formed. It is well formed and very, very solid. That's the nature of your vital also. It can be very flexible or it can be very, very rigid. Nah? And it can have very strong desires. So when it has strong desires which are not yet fulfilled, okay, it wants to fulfill them. The part in you which wants to have an aim and achieve that aim is a vital in you. To a certain extent, the mind also. So this does not get satisfied very easily and wants to, even after the body is shed, it wants to realize itself. So what happens is, sometimes it lingers looking for ways to satisfy itself. But without a body, it can't satisfy itself. So there are several things that can happen. It can try to enter into another body. And that is what is known as possession. You've heard of that, no? And actually, yeah, that's possession. So there are, and if a person is quite weak, okay, vitally, mentally he is weak, then this dissatisfied vital can enter into that body and try to satisfy itself, its desires. This is what is possession.
So it would not return to the soul world with the soul, it would be here only.
Yes, that's right. Because it has not yet fulfilled its desires. You want to fulfill your desires, na? So suppose you have a story which is told half to you. You don't want an ending, you want an ending to the story. So you are dissatisfied. No, I want to hear the end of the story. So this is exactly what happens with the vital also. The vital wants an ending to its desires. It wants satisfaction. Exactly in the same way. Okay? So if it can or it realizes that it can't satisfy itself in the only the vital and not the physical body, then or if somebody helps it, it can shed the vital unwillingly perhaps and go on to the next. Okay? So this is the process usually. But a mature soul, this sort of thing does not happen. A mature soul doesn't happen. Also, I told you about the mind also being very developed. Remember that ideas which are there in the mind and which are seeking satisfaction. You have an idea and you want to discover. I want to see that this idea is put into practice. Suppose you have an idea for a machine, okay, which doesn't exist in the world. And your mind says, I must produce this machine. But now you have no body in the physical world. The idea in the mind will try to satisfy itself. This sounds very funny, but this is the fact. Okay? So it will try and enter other minds. Okay, that's what happens. Even when you are living, okay, if you have a thought, your thought is sort of broadcast from your mind and it travels out of your mind and goes and enters into other people's minds. Okay, that also can happen. So all the thoughts that are coming into your mind, okay, they are not always manufactured in your own brain. They are often coming from outside. Okay, and you think that is your own thought. So now it is clear. So sometimes it happens also. I'm giving you all the possibilities. Okay? When a person dies suddenly, okay, he may not the mind, the vital and the mind and the soul inside, trapped inside, may not even realize that you are dead. It's funny, na? But that's what happens. It can happen. So until you realize that you don't have a body anymore, there are many interesting cases we have had in the ashram also.
Is it
Yeah, tell me.
because of the attachments we're having?
Not necessarily. Even without attachments, okay, it can happen. It can happen even without attachments, yes. But we have discussed that in detail. But even without attachment, sometimes you don't know. There was an interesting case in the ashram, okay, where a person did not know that he doesn't have a body anymore. Okay, and he used to go to mother, our divine mother, he used to go and complain to her that they are messing up my room. Because when a person dies, naturally the old belongings are taken out and another person is given the place to live in. Na? So he was complaining to the mother that, why are they messing with my room? He didn't know that he is dead. So these things sound so funny because you have to enlarge your ideas of what exactly is taking place in rebirth. That's why I'm giving you all these examples. Okay, the more you think about it, the more questions will come up. You can ask these questions next time also. So mother had to slowly, our divine mother had to slowly make this vital and mind and body trapped inside this second level clothing that you don't have a body anymore. So, and she helped it to shed the vital and the mind and go into the psychic world. Okay. All these different types of possibilities are there. So that can also happen. So rebirth is a very complex thing. And also there's another thing very, very closely connected with rebirth. That is the law of karma. Okay. This is another thing that you must remember. Remember that what you are in this life, okay, is what is a result of what you have done in your past. It can be past in this life, it can be past in other lives also. So that is one reason why in a very, very practical way, you should never, never blame others for your own successes or failures. Normally we have a tendency to blame others for our failures, no? Or our miseries. No, that's not true. You are yourself responsible for what you are. This is actually justice. Okay. So when you have a misery, you must be able to know that, okay, what is there in me that has caused this one? Okay. You have to look into that in that way. Never blame others. You have to learn to take the responsibility for yourself and grow. And the more you realize that, and the more you understand your own nature, which is so complex. You have a body, and you know, na, the functioning of the body is a miracle. It is so complicated. Na? You have so many parts in you which are all working fully in tandem with each other and so complicated. Similarly, the vital also is very, very complicated. We are completely ignorant of all these things. So the more you look into yourself, the more you analyze yourself, you will benefit. Okay? You may not get the answers immediately, but slowly, slowly, this is one thing, practical thing you can have, that never blame others for your own condition, whether it be success or whether it be failure. It doesn't matter. You are the maker of your own destiny. And this is exactly what it should be. Because if you have to depend on others, for your success and failure. They are controlling you. But you are essentially divine, right? And if you are essentially divine, you have the power to control yourself also essentially. Okay? Potentially, you are divine, you can control yourself. This is exactly what is meant by the evolution of the soul. You are slowly realizing that you can mold yourself into anything you want. Okay? And that is the reason why you must have also faith in yourself. You must believe that essentially you are capable of everything and you have to try without depression and without any sense of failure. Even if you fail once, fail twice, never give up. I think I told you also once, another one. A defeated man, okay, a man who has failed once is not defeated. A man is defeated when he gives up the attempt. Then you can say he is defeated. Otherwise, you are never defeated. Okay? You must have that faith in yourself that I go on trying, I'm sure to succeed. Okay, so Saransh asked a question about the getting stuck in the vital. Okay.
And also class 7 and 8, the children want to ask. Should we first take their questions, Saransh?
Yes, mommy.
Because you can stay on later, they go away. So yeah, class 7 and 8, somebody had raised the hand. Please come in the front and give your name and your class first, child.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Gatik and I'm in class 7F.
Okay.
Yes.
So, sir, as you said that some souls have attachments on the things on earth. So, what if we have also lost some of our dear ones? So, we, the people on earth, can do what in order to give them moksha?
Ah, okay. So what you're saying is very interesting
What
because
a good question.
okay, that's exactly why we have the ceremony of Shraddha. Okay, so I'll tell you one or two interesting incidents that happened. Okay, so normally the soul that is free from the body, mind, life, there is no suffering. Okay, you must realize this very, very clearly. A soul that is going out of the body, mind, life, death is not a painful and miserable thing for the soul, the person who is dead. It is only Ananda because he is not limited by the body. He is not limited by the vital. He is not limited by the mind. He is free. He comes out. Okay. Even if he is a half-developed person, he comes out and he is free. So there is only Ananda for someone who comes out of the body. The ones who are left behind, his relatives, his near and dear ones, as you said just now, okay, they are the ones who suffer. And when you suffer, your near and dear ones suffer, then what happens is that suffering pulls the soul back because the soul feels also miserable for them and pulls back. That is one of the reasons why in the ashram here, and it should be there everywhere, you should not hanker or pull the soul back. You should not feel sorry for it because there is no unhappiness, no misery for the one who has escaped from the body, mind, life. There is only utter happiness because you have become Chidananda Rupa. Okay? You have come out of your body, mind, life. The prison, the chains of your body, the chain of your vital, the chain of your mind is gone. You are free. So there is never any unhappiness for the person who has left the body. Remember that. He is in a very happy condition. There are many, many videos of what are called near-death experience. If you want to know more about this, you can go to the internet and type out near-death experience and you will see how the person who is out of his body, mind, life is in a very happy condition. So I'll tell you one case that happened in the ashram, okay, and you will see that how it is. So what happened one was, there was a lady, a Bengali lady, and she was in the ashram and she lost her husband and she lost her daughter, okay, and she was in a very miserable condition and she was hankering, okay, for her lost daughter. Then she went to a person Is everybody listening? Okay. So, so she went to a person who could communicate with those who don't have a body. Okay. So she went to that person and contacted her daughter within that 10 days. Now, I told you that within 10 days, they linger in the world, earth atmosphere, they linger. So she tried to contact this daughter. And she did contact the daughter. And what did the daughter tell her? You'll be surprised to know. She said, Mother, don't call me and don't hanker for me because it binds me down to the physical world. Whereas I don't want to be bound anymore. I am in such a wonderful condition. I want to go back to the state where I am pure soul and I don't want to be imprisoned in the body, mind, life. So please don't feel sorry for me. I am in a very happy condition, but don't feel sorry for me and don't hanker for me because that becomes an obstacle and it's very difficult for me to stand that pressure. Okay? So this is why one must never grieve for someone who has gone. It's very natural, but that is your attachment. So if you are thinking of your own loss, you will grieve, but you are anchoring the progress of the soul that has gone out. Okay? And if you want to convince yourself of this, as I told you, go to the internet, check near-death experience, NDE they call it. You will see how the soul that has gone out of the body, mind, life, tremendous freedom, tremendous sense of freedom. There is no misery at all. And sometimes when their life is left incomplete, and nowadays we have the scientific possibility of rejuvenation, we can revive people. So when the soul comes back into the body, mind, life again, it remembers its experience outside the body. And there are many, many cases of this, what we call near-death experience. You will see that the soul that goes out of the body, mind, life is not suffering ever. There is no suffering for it. The suffering is only in the body. The suffering is in the vital. The suffering is in the mind, but not in the soul.
But Rangada, when the soul is left with a lot of baggage of attachments, and it has to sublimate all those attachments and finish them. So then for such a soul, that the child's question is, how can we help that soul? So can we not help by covering that soul with mantras? As this child had asked the question, how can we help the soul who has left its body? So we can help it by covering it with mantras, right?
Mantras can help.
Yes.
But the best help that you can give is to be absolutely calm and quiet and think of the soul's happiness. Okay? And if you think of the soul's happiness, then you will not hanker, you will not feel the pain. If someone has gone abroad, okay, your child has gone abroad, and you get news that he is happy, you will be happy. If only the person is unhappy, then you will feel unhappy because you have an attachment. But if you know that your child is very happy there, why should you have any attachment? Because we are ignorant and we feel that just like our attachments are there. And also another thing, where are the attachments? They are in the body, they are in the vital, they are in the mind, not in the soul. The soul is, so long as the soul is ignorant and thinks that it is body, mind, life, there is suffering for it. But the moment it realizes that it is not the body, mind, life, again we come back to Shankaracharya's Mano Buddhi,
Ankar.
Ankara Chittani
Ani
Nama.
naham.
I am not these things. I am pure soul. Then you will not grieve for the person. Naturally, since we are imperfect and we are trapped in the body, we will feel a little sorry. But you must convince yourself that I must not allow myself to be sorry. Okay? That's the best way you can help the soul. Mantras do help, but mantras do help to cut the relationship. But why resort to artificial methods when you can do it yourself? Huh? So you must teach yourself also. And not only that, you will also benefit because when you are cutting off your own attachment to somebody, you will be benefiting.
My name is Nehal Agarwal, 7G, from class 7G.
Okay.
So my question is this: someone, if the person is dead, the people say that it has gone to the God. Why the soul has? If the soul can go to another body, why we say that the body has gone to the? Why that person has gone to the God? Why we say that?
That is absolutely wrong. That is not the truth. That is a very popular, ignorant conception. Okay. And they also say, rest in peace. Nah? That is completely wrong. There is no such thing. The body goes, the body is shed, the vital is shed, and the soul goes to the, doesn't go to God, it goes to the higher level of consciousness. Okay? But if there is, and also God is not one thing. Okay? God is several layers. There is a gradation. You can have infinite peace, you can have infinite knowledge. So one aspect of God you will realize. But to realize God fully is not that easy. And you don't go to God, you go to the next world, you go to the next world, you go to the next world. When you are going in a lift from ground floor to first floor, okay, you are going only to the first floor, but there is a second floor, there is a third floor, there is a fourth floor. In fact, in Sri conception, there are 7 floors. Okay. In other conception, there are 3, there are 5. There are so many different ways of thinking of the, from the lowest to the highest, there are so many floors. And each floor is a world in itself. Each floor is a world where the laws change. Okay. They go on changing. Like in countries, different countries, the laws are going on changing. Here also the laws are going on changing. What is true at the physical world is not true at the vital world, is not true at the mental world. It goes on like that. Only the highest floor, that is the divine. So you don't go to the highest floor at all. You go to the next floor.
Then you rest in the soul plane, no?
Yeah, that's right.
From the physical world, you shed the physical body.
Yes.
Then you go to the vital world. Then you go to the mental world. Once all that is shed, then
Yes.
you go to the soul plane,
That's right. These are spiritual planes of consciousness.
where you rest and rest and rest.
Yes.
And then you are ready to take another.
That's right.
Right.
You, then as I told you, you review the soul, reviews its own progress, reviews the incidents of one's life, and then takes birth again. Normally, there's no rule here again. Normally, within 2 to 3 years. It can be more, it can be less. Okay?
You just mentioned that stone, if we take a stone, it has very less consciousness as compared to an insect and as compared to a human. So are we not defining consciousness with the respect to the human anatomy?
That's a mistake we make. That is a mistake we make. You know, that is what is called they call it, this is a scientific idea that, in fact, science does not have an idea of the soul at all, but consciousness, yes, they have. There is a consciousness they feel comes up only when life comes in. They feel that there is no consciousness in matter, but this is not something true at all. Now, I'll give you a very, very, very difficult truth to understand, but you must understand this. Just like matter exists by itself, okay? Saransh, whether you are there or not, matter exists, huh?
Yes.
Okay? Whether you are there, whether all your other children are there, even if nothing exists, matter exists. So, this is true also of consciousness. Consciousness is a fundamental truth that exists by itself. Okay? And it takes many, many different levels. Just like, that's why I give the idea of ice, water, water vapor. Someone who does not know that it is basically the same thing, taking a solid form, matter, taking a liquid form, vital, taking even a cloud-like form, which is a mind, okay? They feel that it is not consciousness, but consciousness can take all these forms, just like water can take. So consciousness can be the subtlest at the highest level. That's a divine consciousness. It becomes slightly more gross, okay? Clouds can become water and it takes So consciousness exists by itself. Remember this. Okay? Just like Ananda also exists by itself. These are all worlds which are there existing by itself. What is it that ultimately exists by itself? Sat Chit Ananda. That's one thing that is the reality of the physical existence and physical world. Okay? Sat Chit Ananda. And this is the reality which is there everywhere. And you are at a level where consciousness is mental. The cat is at a level where consciousness is vital. Okay? The stone is at a level where consciousness is matter. Just like as I told you, ice, water, water vapor, okay, exactly in the same way, the consciousness becomes thicker and thicker and thicker and denser and takes this. So consciousness is something universal, from the lowest level to the highest level, independent of you. Science thinks, and you just now also you said anatomy, you think that consciousness comes in when you are living. That's not true. Even in matter there is consciousness, but hiding. It becomes solid. Okay? When
So, sir, as much consciousness as a human has, the matter also has.
no, less, because it is sleeping.
But see, sir, there is a gradation now.
Exactly. Gradation.
But so are we seeing just the physical form and grading it? Is
Just
this not that?
listen, Saransh. If you think of the water, ice, and water vapor, it will be clear. It's essentially the same thing. But it's thick, thicker, thickest. Gradation. So essentially your consciousness in your mind is the same as that of the stone. But there it is thick and sleeping. It has to wake up. I told you it's difficult, but if you think more about it, you will see that this is the basic truth. It's not very easy to understand, but
sir, if we take the example of the cat you have just given, so a human has a more evolved physical body with respect to cat, and that only with that respect we say it has more consciousness as well. So it depends on the level of consciousness depends on the physical evolution as well.
also, yes, partly that's true. It is first that universal highest consciousness is trapped in the lowest. Then slowly through evolution, it rises, goes and more into subtle. And when it becomes sufficiently subtle, it realizes that it is Chidananda Rupa and not Mano.
Mano, buddhi, hankara, chitta.
Not
So, sir, is it possible that the physical body would remain like this, but our consciousness can evolve much higher to be divine itself?
absolutely. That is what is liberation. I think your question is a little more complicated and I'll go into it, okay? The consciousness in a worm and a cat and a man is different, right?
Yes.
So, there is a consciousness which is the worm, which is very, very limited. But the consciousness of a cat is much more developed. Okay? Then in a man, it is even more developed. What a man can do, a cat can't do. And what a cat can do, a worm can't do. Right? So there is a growth. Now the yogi can do things which a man can't do, a normal man. So even in your body, your consciousness can increase and become by going into the higher planes of consciousness. Just now there is universally, apart from you, there are worlds of consciousness all arranged in a sequence like the floors I told you about. Okay? So it depends at which level, which floor you are in. And you can go from one floor to another floor. How? By the practice of yoga, sadhana. So you can develop your consciousness. So, can the consciousness rise to the highest level? Yes. But the question is, the body also is evolving, na? So now I'll bring in Sri Aurobindo. It's a little difficult, but I'll bring in Sri Aurobindo. Is it possible to have a body also which is divine? Think about it. Can? But that is exactly what Sri Aurobindo says. So now I'm introducing to an idea which is very, very fundamental to Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. And he is the only one to say this. Just as a anatomy of a worm is inferior to the anatomy of a cat, and the anatomy of a man is superior to the anatomy of a cat, and the anatomy of the yogi, okay, is superior to that of the ordinary man. You may not feel like that, but changes do take place in the body, and mind and vital. They become more and more pure. Exactly in the same way, a day will come when a new race will come up, which will have a divine body. This is a very complicated subject, but you get the basic idea that the evolution itself will go beyond mind. A supramental race is bound to come. The cat would probably have thought that I am the last product on earth, but it not so. Man came, and now man normally 100%, almost 100% thinks that he is the last product in the world. That is not true at all. There has been an evolution from there and it's come up to this. Why do you think that you are the last product? You are so imperfect. So it's going more and more towards perfection. Why can't you think that there will be somebody, some race or a species which will be superior to man? That is what Shinto philosophy is. Saransh, okay, think about it. And this is what he said, that evolution is endless. It has gone from matter to life, from worm to cat to dog to ape, and it has come to man. Why should it stop there? There is no logical reason why it should stop there. You feel it stop because of your ignorance, but it will go to the next level. Even the yogi is far superior to a man, na? But he has a human body. That human body also can be changed. Okay?
Oh,
It can become supramentalized in the words of Sri Aurobindo.
Okay. So now, I'll give you another idea, Saransh, and think about it. Okay? When you have a body, is it not matter?
it is.
It is matter. Now, matter can also be made into different things. A stone, the body in a stone, is it the same as the body in a worm? What's the difference? That matter in the stone has been injected with life.
Yes.
Agree? Okay. Now, when you have mental consciousness, your brain is matter, but your brain has been injected, okay, with mental awareness. Just like in the lower one, it is vital energy. Now the mental awareness is put into matter, and your brain is that. So if you can make matter living by injecting life into it, okay, and you can also inject ideas and mental consciousness into matter and it produces the brain, why can't you produce also other consciousnesses in matter? Right? So that is what is going to happen. Your brain is matter, capable of thought. Your muscle is matter, capable of energy, but not thought. So one day there will be matter which will be capable of a divine consciousness. But it will be matter. It will be subtle matter.
Are we not capable of the divine matter right now?
Right now you are potentially divine, but you are not divine yet, na? You have bad thoughts, you have bad actions, you are evil. So how can the evil be not necessarily evil, but wrong, na? So you are essentially divine. Your soul is divine, but not your matter and not your body and your life and your mind. They are ways on the road. They are not yet divine. Can you say, okay, can you say that a tree is a seed is essentially the same? You can say that. But can you say that the seed is already the tree?
No.
You can't. So you are essentially the seed with the potentiality of the tree. You have the potential to become divine, but you have to go. Okay? You have to give the right conditions. Take that seed, put it into ground, give the right conditions, water it, give it light, okay? And that is the process of evolution. That is what you're doing. The seed of divinity in you grows by many, many lives. That is the opportunity given to you. And ultimately, it is sure that one day, in one life, you will reach the, they're thinking deep, okay? But when you think of these things, you will see that other questions also come up. Okay?
I also had one more question.
Yes.
What is the difference between submerging in the divine and becoming the divine itself?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question also. Okay. Suppose submerging the divine means, okay, so I can submerge myself in the sea, but have I become the sea? I am there myself. Yeah. So you
But
can,
if you have submerged in the sea, you have become the sea.
not yet. If you
How
want,
not yet?
okay, I'll tell you what. The image that I gave you of submerging in the sea is exactly like the ego in you. Okay. So I'll give you another idea, then you immediately you'll understand. You feel yourself to be yourself because of your ego. You feel yourself to be limited to the body, mind, life. Okay. Now, take a grain of salt. Okay. It's got a clear form, shape, color, size. You agree? Now, I submerge it in water. What will happen? What will happen?
It will dissolve.
Then it becomes the divine. This shape and form and color, your ego disappears. Okay? But when you submerge into the sea, you can still retain your body, mind, life. Then your ego is still there. So if you want to become the divine, get rid of your ego. Get rid of your limited fixed body. Get rid of your limited fixed vital. Get rid of your limited fixed mind and become the soul which is infinite. Become the cloud and not the ice. Then the cloud can go everywhere. It is not limited anywhere.
The cloud can also become the droplet too now after some time.
You will not feel like that. You will not feel like when you are free, okay, you want to again become prisoner. How do you want to become a prisoner when you're free? No, it doesn't happen like that. That raises another interesting question, which will take up a lot because it is more complicated. Now, you can have a body mind life without an ego. That is possible. That is another idea that Sri Aurobindo has. Okay? He wants you to not escape into the infinite, but he wants you to become free. He wants you to go to the spiritual level of consciousness, realize that you are Chirananda Rupa. Then you can again decide to take a body, but you will come back into the body, but this time you'll have a no ignorance. You will not be trapped. You will be fully conscious of your soul, even when you are in the body mind. Okay, that also is possible.
In answer to Arya's question, that basically what Sri Aurobindo has said is that this body, there's no choice whether it happens in this life or many lives later. This body has to be supramentalized. Ultimately, the body has to be supramentalized.
Yeah, but that's a very rare thing and that will take a long time.
Many lives. But we must understand the end goal.
Yes.
Then we start working towards it.
No, but there are choices in the middle also.
Okay.
It is not that everybody is obliged to become supramentalized. Okay, that is another thing that you must realize. Suppose in your class you have got, there are so many children in your class. Does each one want to become only an engineer or only a doctor? No, you have a choice to become this, that and all. So soul also has a choice. When it goes and liberates itself, it has a choice of disappearing into the infinite. What just now she asked that, Arya, you have a choice. Okay. Anjali is saying that everybody will become supramentalized. Not necessarily. When you become free, you have a choice to disappear like the salt grain into the sea. No more salt grain. Your individual existence is gone. That's a choice that you have. That is the choice that Buddhists take. Okay. The Buddhists say, I want dissolution. I want to go back to where I came from. But there are others who say that no, I want to come back into the world and help the others. And there are others also who say, I am so happy here in this world. Okay. I want to remain here. So you have a choice of coming back into the physical world. You have a choice of remaining with your personality and your individuality in the spiritual world. And you also have the choice of disappearing into the infinite without any trace left of your individuality. That also is possible. So it is not that everybody is obliged to become supramentalized. Not necessarily so. There's a choice.
So those who are happy in this world, is it because of attachments or desires?
Can you find, Arya, can you find a single person who is happy from when he is a child right up to when he is an old man? Is happiness permanent in the physical world? No.
Notice.
But it is relative. So what you are asking is, certainly it is better to be happy than to be unhappy. So the more happy you are a more developed soul. No doubt about it.
No matter whether we are happy on, like, what thing we are happy on, like, if we are having money, we are happy, but that doesn't mean that we are on
Right. You must be happy without conditions, without any cause. Okay? That means when you are happy when you get money, you are attached to money. When you are happy when you get ice cream, okay, you are attached to ice cream. But you must develop the capacity to become happy without any cause in the physical world. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. That's why you must always have a positive attitude towards life. You must always feel that happiness doesn't depend on things. True happiness is not dependent on anything. A very poor man can be very, very happy. A rich man, okay, you have heard the proverb, na? Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. You heard of that? Okay. I told you the other day also, I told you, and I repeat that. Okay? You are a very rich person. If you have got a lot of money, you will be attracting a lot of forces which will be not very happy you will not be happy with them. I'll give you examples. Number one, people will come and want, please give a contribution to my society. Okay, you may pass. Okay, you may give. Okay, then the thief comes at night and without asking you, he'll take your money. Okay, it's a problem which you will face in life. Okay, then you buy a piece of land, and now there'll be all sorts of encroachments on your land, and you will not be happy. You'll have to struggle. So money creates problems. It creates very temporary pleasures. But more money creates more problems. Okay. Finally, what will happen? The tax man will come knocking on your door. Okay. So you will see that depending on things in the physical world will not give you true happiness. It will give you only pleasure. And pleasure starts at a certain point and disappears at a certain point. And in the physical world, the reality of dualities is there. If there is pleasure, there is bound to be pain. If there is life, there is bound to be death. If there is happiness, there is bound to be unhappiness. If there is generosity in the world in some people, it is 100% sure that there will be others who are miserly. Okay? So these are the dualities in the physical world. So get rid of all the dualities, be free of money and attachments and pleasures, and be happy forever. Okay.
Sir, you are saying that the happiness which is unconditional,
Yes.
that is the true happiness.
Yes.
So, but if we talk about Ananda as we hear of, that it is something which is going to last, or so, sir, isn't there a condition? Sir, isn't there a proper? If somebody asks you, why are you happy about it? Then I will say that yes, because I entered on this path, because I have achieved some level of consciousness, because I've achieved something in this particular path, so I am happy. So, sir, isn't there a reason even in that?
No, I'll tell you why. Because real happiness cannot come when there is attachment to the body, to the vital and the physical. Okay, you are out of it. Okay, you are out, and when you are out, you are pure consciousness. You are Chidananda. You are not Mano Buddhi Ahankara. Okay, so that is conditionless. The body is a condition, the vital is a condition, the mind is a condition. But when there is true happiness, it is necessarily outside your body, outside your vital, outside your mind. You are at the spiritual planes of consciousness. Remember, I'll tell you, there are 3 levels. Okay, this also can help you. Okay, when you are on level 1, on the ground floor. Okay, remember also this image I gave you about the 7 floors. Okay, so when you are on the ground floor, you are bound by the limitation of the ground floor. Okay, so you are attached to your body, you are attached to your vital, your body is subject to disease and illness, your mind is subject to ignorance, we don't know the full reality, your vital is also subject to pleasure and pain. So in the physical body, you can never be truly happy. You can be relatively happy, but never truly happy. The true happiness can come only when you have shed your body, mind, life. And that's what I meant by even the soul after death. Okay, he is happy because he doesn't have the conditions of the body, mind, life. The soul that has shed, and what we call the near-death experience. Okay? The more you examine these things, the more things will become clear to you. Okay, but true happiness cannot come while you are in the body, mind, life. If you are identified with your body, mind, life. But a yogi who has a body, mind, life, yet is not attached to body, mind, life, that is because he has achieved mukti. His soul has come out of the body, mind, life, and he is still using his body, mind, life as instruments, as a house to live in, but he is not attached to it. So attachment is the one that gives you attachment, ego, and desire. These are the 3 things that bind you down and make you miserable and also happy sometimes.
So we can see the happiness which is dependent upon the ego, with the happiness which is dependent upon the attachment, the desires that we have. That is not the true happiness.
That's right. Exactly.
That is conditioned. That
Yeah.
if this thing is there, then only I'm happy. And if it is not there, then there is a sense of misery.
That's right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ma'am, it would be nice if we discuss on Prakriti and Purush
Very good.
Yes.
on this next
We'll
session.
do that next time.
Okay, so
Yes.
then, but we'll have to make it a little simple, Rangada, because class 7 and 8,
Ah.
because Saransh, Krinali, Arya, they're at a higher level. But they are still children.
I was just going to say, in French we say au revoir. Okay. Punar darshanaya. Okay. Saransh, Krinali, Arya, you have asked questions. Very interesting questions. I hope you are benefiting. Okay.
Yes.
But let me tell you one thing. Don't ever hesitate to say, I have not understood. Okay. Then I'll try and put it some other way. Okay. But the important thing is for you to understand, not for me to go on talking. Okay. So if you ever have any difficulty, feel free to challenge me even if you want. Okay. That's the way to really to go. Questioning. Okay. If you remember, in the Gita also we have that, no? Of course, I am not Sri Krishna, but it is Pariprashna Sevaya. Okay. That's the way to go forward. So question of Seva doesn't come here, but Pariprashna, even at our level, is very useful. And what we are having here is not spiritual knowledge. We are only having mental knowledge. But mental knowledge can also be very useful because it can remove all cobwebs from the mind. Huh? Okay?
Okay.
Have a nice day, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Infinite gratitude.
Punar darshanaya and in
Punar,
fact, we say au revoir.